what's going on? I'm Scott DeVore. This is DeVore Live. We're coming to you from downtown Jacksonville, Florida.
BTJ.
DeVore Live is all things Jack's business, real estate, and life. Got my man Diamond Deason, West Deason.
Hello.
We got Will Reed. I am
going on,
Will.
man?
We got
Yes,
Athenatude Famin.
Moon.
Moon Man.
Yes, sir.
Moon Man's coming out of retirement in like 14 days.
Yes, sir.
Something like that. But, man, we got some great stories. We're going to talk about this new manufacturing that's coming to Jacksonville, autonomous vehicles. Why do I want to say videos, man?
I have no idea. We do a lot of video here.
Watching too much thick media. We got some real estate market updates, and we're talking about a brand new buyer of Regency Square Mall.
Yeah.
Man, that was a long time coming. And we're going to talk about the middle housing crisis in
sir.
Jacksonville. We're going to have a good conversation with Apple. Man, how's everyone doing?
Doing well.
Good.
Doing well.
For sure. Easter's this weekend.
Got Easter
Yeah.
this weekend.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good Friday. Coming
Yeah.
up on Friday.
You guys watch
You
the
can start
Masters?
wearing white now.
Oh, I'm going to wear white. Yeah,
You gonna wear
I'm
white?
telling this guy. He's been wearing his white shirt since
Yeah, he just doesn't
like
barely
January
wear
4th. I'm like, you got to wait till after Easter
Yeah,
to wear it.
I don't pay attention to that, but yeah. But I did watch the Masters. Yeah, by
Yeah,
the way.
Masters.
That was
Man.
awesome.
What did you think about that?
I was excited.
Rory.
I was happy to see
Shoo.
Rory do it.
Mm.
Sixth guy ever to complete the Grand Slam. That's pretty
Emotional.
cool. It was emotional. It was good. He didn't choke. Well, he tried to choke. He definitely choked.
He choked a lot.
He definitely choked, but got away with it. Luckily, he had enough of a lead and came in strong on the playoff. I mean, that was a great shot in the playoff to put it within a couple feet of the hole. So he could still miss that one though, because he just gets crumbles under that last putt because he's blown it a couple times. But I was glad to see him do it. He can relax now. I think he's going to have plenty more wins this year.
Yeah.
I think this is a big year for him. So
Yeah, pressure's
excited to
off
see
for
that.
sure.
You think Tiger's going to come back and do anything?
Negative.
No,
Okay.
he's
Negative. I hope he gets rehabilitated enough he can play in the senior tour because he can if he can get his ego aside, he can ride in a cart like John Daly.
Yeah.
And people can still get a chance to see him. He doesn't have to go as hard to play in the senior tour as he does trying to compete with all these young bucks now with his back and his knees and his legs and everything's all tore
For
up.
sure.
So I still want to see him come back for sure.
yeah, we saw him a lot on the indoor golf.
Yeah. He didn't even make the Masters dinner. There's a lot of different rumors about why he didn't even make the
Wow.
Champions dinner. But, he just had surgery. So I think he's just chilling, trying to rehabilitate. Knowing him, he's in the gym every day. He's trying to rehabilitate. He's trying to come back even bigger, badder, stronger because the guy's just, maniac
built
like,
like
that.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
So how much of him being that guy who always, like, to be the best, he went above and beyond? You got guys like Kobe, like, just in the gym all
For
the
sure.
time. Michael Jordan. And, Tiger was one of those guys. But how
Yeah.
much do you think his career of overtraining has actually hindered him in later years? Because he's been hurt a lot for a long time.
I think maybe the physical fitness part of it didn't necessarily injure him. I think it just maybe exacerbated things because he was young. I mean, that guy swung all out. I mean, your back is going to have issues when you're wrenching the body the way that these guys do. The natural swing it's not even a natural swing actually. It's basically built on two planes. You take the club back on one direction, and you've got to turn your body, get your hips out of the way to get the club to come through in a different plane. And to do that, it's just a lot of strain on your back. And that's why all these guys got back issues, and when you're swinging the club like Bryson at 200 plus miles an hour, you have to condition your body. And he was just the first to kind of do that, where everybody saw, oh man, all of a sudden this guy's a beast. So now everybody's kind of
Muscles, all that. Yeah.
They should probably have done that a lot younger, stage. So I don't know that it hurt him necessarily, but it might not helped 100%. But
But it's hard to beat obsession. You know what I'm saying? Even Michael Jordan in the flu game, he's sick. He's balling. I remember Kobe broke his dominant hand, his right hand, and he's notable for being in the gym with his pajama pants and the shorts on. It's like a epic photo. Like, it's hard to beat obsession, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Tiger, I think he definitely brought golf into the new age of actually building your body and strength.
As a
'cause
sport.
as a sport, because
Yeah.
no one was really doing it, at least no one that comes to mind. Now you see guys like Bryson, like those. Man, these guys are beasts
Yeah,
nowadays.
they're in the
Before,
gym
when you
every
look
day.
like at Nicholas and those guys,
Pot belly.
yeah, I mean, they had phenomenal talent to be able to, have that type of accuracy and drive to, place the golf ball that they did. But it's a completely different game.
yeah, fitness is just as big as anything else that they do now.
Yeah.
It's not just stretching now. It's hitting the gym. It's getting bigger. It's the fastest swings, or ball speed. Let's just say, sorry, I said swing speed earlier, but fastest ball speed you would never see in 190, 200 miles an hour. These days. Now, plenty of people can do it, and now we're seeing ball speeds of 205, 208. It just keeps going, So that's why they're trying to change balls now to make them not go as far and all this stuff. Because you run out of real estate, you can't have 750-yard par fours, for these guys that can hit 350 yards, 360 yards on their first shot, and they're still hitting 8 irons, 200+ yards. I mean, these guys are just beasts. The game has changed so much compared to an old school game. Let's just say, so it's crazy. And I'm just jealous because I can't do it. I mean, I have long drives, 250 at the best, so, on average.
So is that a proclamation? Wes Deason's about to start hitting the
about
gym?
hitting the gym. I need to hit the gym.
Yes, sir.
Every time I'm short on a putt, I need to hit the gym. Yeah. Short on a drive, yeah. It's time to get in the gym.
We're going to get into some stories, but before we do, we'll let you know that DeVore Live is brought to you by DeVore Media Group and sponsored by DeVore Capital. We're a multi-service construction real estate development company. Some of our services, residential commercial roofing, and real estate transaction brokerages. Real estate brokerage transaction, how do we say that? Am I flubbing the order? But, man, we do some great stuff on both of those fronts and all types of construction services. But, man, let's talk about Regency Mall. So Blackwater Development, not to be confused with BlackRock, but Blackwater Development, I think they're out of Lake City, Florida. They bought Regency Square Mall for $19.1 million. The transaction closed just a few days ago on April 9th. The plan is to redevelop. It's a 76-acre site into mixed use with housing, banks, retail, and this is going to be a 5 to 10-year project. So Regency Square, I think this was probably Jacksonville's first shopping development when everything kind of left the core of downtown. It was the cream of the crop. I don't even know exactly when. Will probably remembers when this was in its heyday. But, we have some history with Regency Square Mall. We've been there lots of times. Got called out to do some estimates, some roofing repairs. And, we just went up on that roof, and that roof was so shot.
It's awful.
I mean, it was, you go inside, it's a ghost town.
You had to be careful where you walked in a few spots. So you had to look, man, there have been so many repairs up there over the years.
Yeah, repair. We were trying to give them
and
full replacement quotes. They didn't want anything to do with it.
No, they didn't want to touch it. They didn't want to spend any more money on that place.
Well,
But, Will, you're native to Jacksonville. What do you think of this Regency Square acquisition?
I think it's a long time coming. As I've been here all my life, and as a kid, that was the place that you went. Regency was the epicenter before. Orange Park Mall's been around, a long time too, but it was just different in Regency. It was just it was a little more upscale, a little nicer, a little more opportunity for different restaurants and different things. And in the last 20 years, it's just taken a dive to where you just don't go there.
Yeah.
There's no reason to. As the mall started to.
man, that Dillard's though. The Dillard's go hard.
Yeah. If you're looking for some almost free stuff.
No, I got a Sean John suit for $150. Was it? No, Sean John. Yeah.
Yeah,
like that.
but it's definitely been on a decline. I think
For
you
sure.
got St. John's Town Center is kind of the test case of what good commerce, good retail, good dining could be
Yeah.
in a city that lacks all of those things.
Name brand stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember when I first started to visit Jacksonville, when my mom moved here in the late 90s, Avenues Mall just opened up.
Yep.
So my mom lived in Arlington. It was really close to Regency Square Mall. But, man, if we wanted to go somewhere nice, we would go to Avenues.
Yep.
And when that opened up 25 years ago, I mean, the malls have been in decline, and for for forever. But I remember Avenues just really took a beating, to Regency once they opened up their doors.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is it the era of the death of the mall, and obviously with Amazon and all stuff that people straight to door. You don't even have to, you know what I mean? Stress. You have to beat the crowd. Even Black Friday, it doesn't have a buzz like it used to. I remember setting out lines, and it was cool. It was awesome to experience that. That's kind of dying over the years.
I think the mall still has its allure, but it's in more of a different platform now. It's like the town center. It's more almost like everything's its own little standalone. You're walking on the street, you're walking down the block, you're outside, you're inside. You know that more of a feel that it's than walking into a a mall and just hitting store after store after store like he used to.
For sure.
Walking with mom as as a kid and be like sleeping on the bench trying to find a bench because she's in there shopping for hours. I don't know that happens anymore.
Yeah,
So
it's an experience, and when I lived in Cali, like the places that were like the St. John's Town Center, they had Ferris wheels, they had ice skating, all types of stuff to bring. It's a little bit tougher in like Florida, with the temperature having its swings, with really hot. Not a lot of people. I don't think they can put an ice skating rink in Jacksonville malls in the summer. Like
For sure.
it costs $1 billion just to keep that ice cold. But definitely,
Yeah.
there's definitely an allure because most brands need a flagship store
100%.
for people to go, to see the products. But it's definitely
all the
changed so
restaurants
much.
around there are gonna love it because there's still nice. That's not a bad area. You go a little bit further in Arlington.
What you mean it's not a
that's
bad area?
No, you
The mall
go up-
itself,
You
yeah.
go up the road. Yeah, the road a little bit in Arlington, man. Maybe you're got to watch what time of day you go. But
Yeah.
but that where the mall is, that can still be a really nice area.
Yeah.
So it's about time that they do something and make that nice.
Which is cool because I actually think that's going to be a norm. Because if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago in the Orange Park Mall, they were talking about converting that Sears into apartments and condos. You know what I'm saying? To help with the growth that's happening in Orange Park. But also, I was actually at the mall last night. I was seeing Accountant 2. They had a little pre-release because it was tax day. First of all, y'all, they're not paying me for this. Phenomenal movie. Oh my gosh, it's such
I
a
love
good
the
movie.
first one.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's a phenomenal movie. But I went to the food court, man, chopping it up. And it was dead in there. Probably I can count the amount of people on it's Orange Park Mall. I mean, in the evening, back in the day, at least 10 years ago when I came through, in the evening people get food, hang out, chill, dead. But every place I went to go get food, you can tell the food's been there for about 3-4 hours. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, golly, even the food itself is down. I made this little post. I got people hating on me in the comments or whatnot, but it's just everything is just down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
Death
think
to the mall.
we got a video of Regency Mall. Taishin, if you want to cue that up, let's take a look at it and see it before it gets start to be torn down and turned into something new and good for the area.
Regency Square Mall is now under new ownership. Blackwater Development is officially the new owner of the property. But even with a redevelopment plan and a new name, they're still taking on the issues of the previous owners. Our news partners at the Jacksonville Daily Record reported that a new name is in the works. It will be called the Nexus at Regency. And Blackwater's plans include redevelopment with multifamily residential communities, financial institutions, and national retail brands. I put in a records request to the city of Jacksonville last month after learning the city sued the old owners, Regency Realty LLC, for a little over $1,000 because it failed to pay citations. Though the overall fines for the property equaled $1.8 million because of the deteriorating conditions. I received 5 separate documents from the city of Jacksonville dated April 3rd, 2025. All are agreements to reduce the fines imposed by code enforcement upon completion of all necessary repairs. The settlements require the new property owners to get the building into compliance within 2 years. The work on the property has to start within a year of the agreement, and they would also have to pay $20,000 up front to start the process, which equals $4,000 per agreement. I contacted District 1 Jacksonville City Councilman Ken Amaro for comment on the settlement and the future of the property. He says, the settlement is necessary to be able to move forward. Regency Square is out of the previous owner's hands, and that is one reason to celebrate. Looking ahead, the Arlington community is expecting transformative work. I emailed Vermel McGee, owner of Black.
$18.2 million, and they didn't have to pay off the $2 million in fines that they had racked
Well,
up.
the fines go with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
because they're attached to the property, so the new owner is responsible
yeah,
for it.
so he's getting a settlement for $20,000 to settle out on $2 million worth of repairs that they got to make.
I mean, they probably could have worked something in the deal where they
Probably
would have to
built
pay it
into the
off,
deal, but-
I don't think there's details about that. But yeah, man, that's exciting news. Regency Square Mall, it's going to get a revitalization. It's going to be something new. Definitely a good thing for the greater Arlington area.
Yeah.
Which
Let's
is
get-
crazy, though. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but just how things change and how crazy it is. So it's $19 million they bought it for today. In 1991, Regency Group sold the property to General Growth Properties out of Chicago for $71.8 million. Right? They just
Talk
go
about a depreciating asset.
Whew.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. Let's talk some real estate. Man, we talk real estate a lot, you know, as I mentioned, like, and I flubbed the transaction brokerage and all that. But DCRE is our real estate wing of the DeVore Capital Group. Here's a stat that just came out. We love these stats. So the new permits for new single-family home construction, lowest since 2017. Obviously, the trends have been going down. You know, that is not new news, but that's just interesting to know. 2017, the lowest. I think it's a 31% decrease since 2017 to this year. Well, what do you think about that, man?
I think it's great if you have a property that already exists that you're looking to sell, because it's going to bring some attention and some eyeballs back into pre-existing homes. You know, there's been a lot of attention and a lot of attraction to buying new, especially with interest rates being what they are. A lot of builders, you've experienced this recently, are offering, you know, they got everything in-house. They're going to build it. They're going to finance it. They're going to do all of the things, give you, you know, buy down points to drop the interest rates. But, you know, building costs are going up, you know, and I think some of those new construction starts have slowed a little bit with the tariff talk.
Absolutely.
Because we're not sure what drywall is going to cost in 3 months. We're not sure where, you know, lumber. We've already, you know, just recently experienced a pretty significant price increase on roofing materials, and that had nothing to do with tariffs.
Right.
That was
Just
just
the fear of it.
just the thought of what
uncertainty.
might happen. There's probably some human greed, you know, mixed in there, you know, as well. But I think it's good if you got a property that you're looking to exit from. I think this is a good time to do it because you're going to have more attention.
Yeah, definitely. When new construction will definitely wreck an existing house.
Sure.
Buyers, if they have the option, you'll buy new any day. Sure. I think you do pretty much the same thing with any commodity that's out there. So definitely is a good opportunity now for resellers of homes. And, you know, just with last week when we had the stat that it was the number, was it, I forget, was it listings or something? It was the highest since 2019, or the inventory.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
inventory
in
was
St.
high.
John's,
Yeah.
St. John's County.
Yeah.
This is why when the times are good, you got to stock up money and not be an idiot, because then there's going to be times where you could take advantage of something.
Yeah.
When prices now are dropping, you know, we just had the dip, you know, big dip in the market. I took some advantage of that. You know, 8,000 point drop, or whatever the crap. You know, it was a low drop, and I was just like, if you had some cash, you could take advantage of that. You know, and so it's just another steward. Like, we teach a lot of money and entrepreneurship and all that kind of stuff. I look at this and think that, you know, I hope a lot of people, you know, stocked away when the times were good and everything was fat and everybody was loving it to hit this low time right now, because you know, things will turn around and all of a sudden everything's going to start going up, and then you miss the boat again, right? And then you're going to be crying because you can't afford, you know, what's going on out there.
Yeah, let's actually kind of talk about, like, the story of the day related to real estate and housing. So the middle housing market. Well, let's define the middle housing market. So this is, you got single families, and then you got big multifamily, which is apartments. So the middle housing market is like your still residential because it's 4 or less units. So it's your duplexes, your tris, and your quads. So this is recently, City Council, they voted back on April 8th, just a few days ago, a unanimous vote, 18-0, to withdraw 2 ordinances that would have facilitated the construction of duplexes, triplexes, quads in established neighborhoods. We got a map to put up to kind of show you the kind of the area. So basically, this ordinance was to kind of be a blanket approval for these, you know, a big part of the, you know, city of Jacksonville, to be able to change the zoning where it would just allow for, without any other zoning type changes, for these, you know, small multifamily type homes to be built. So the local communities, this article is kind of specific to what happened again in Arlington, where the community came together. they said we don't want this happening, and a lot of the things that were the reasoning is they didn't want the landscape of their community to change. They didn't want the property values to be effective by this higher density of housing to just be allowed to be built. What do you guys think of this particular vote by the city on this ruling?
What do you think, Will? Let's go with Will.
I think this is a short-lived vote that will get revisited in the near future.
Yes, it will.
Because really, at the end of the day, we have a housing shortage, and we have a population that continues to grow, and we can't make more land. But the one thing that we can do is utilize the land that we have and build housing that people can buy, that people can rent, that people can move into. So there's probably some of the citizens of the city that are still kind of stuck in the old ways. They want things to be the way they've always been, and you can only hold progress back for so long.
I can agree with that, but I watched my area. I live South Jacksonville, right at St. John's, around the Nocatee, Bartram area, and when we moved in, it was great. Everything was nice. There was a lot of land, tons of traffic, and then now it's like I live in a, suburban, just metropolitan
it's tough to get better.
area, man. There's, apartments going on everywhere, this, that, or the other, which just brings in a whole lot of element of different stuff.
What's the element of different stuff?
Just element like, there's more crime now in our area. Let's just face it. I see some of the local groups and stuff like that. The crime has gone up. There's just more density of people. I leave just down my main road, and if it's school time of year, I'm stuck just getting out of my house with traffic. It's just like,
those pesky kids and their
pesky
education.
That's that of the kids, man, the vermin, right? Look, it's just, so I totally agree. Like, it's undeveloped land. Somebody's going to develop it. But, I believe in affordable housing. I just not sure what the right mix is compared to, do I want a low level?
You just don't want it near you.
I just don't want it near me. It's just, I honestly don't.
And that's the issue with this vote, because I believe this vote, the 18 individuals who voted on this vote, I guarantee you live in a pretty good neighborhood.
Yeah, they probably don't live in these neighborhoods.
Yeah,
but you know what they did? They probably listened to the community. So they're their constituents.
For sure.
They're probably
those are the folks that voted them in.
Yeah, some of that, but also it's 18-0.
Yeah.
It's unanimous.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear more, but let's play the video. Then I want to add some more context.
Yeah, because I can't wait.
Yeah, go ahead, tee that up,
Let's
Tashina.
Two ordinances aimed at boosting multifamily housing here in Jacksonville have been pulled. City leaders say that they need more time to address the issue. If the council had moved forward with those ordinances, it would have allowed for building duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes in certain areas of Arlington. There was a lot of pushback from residents and some council members who were worried about how these changes might affect their neighborhoods. Supporters of what's commonly been referred to as the missing middle housing argue that it's crucial for providing more options as Jacksonville continues to grow.
Let's if you can, Tashina, pull up the map, because it's interesting. Because if you look at the map, they, Arlington, St. Nicholas, but they excluded parts of San Marco down to Lakewood, like the coastal, like along the river, like the really nice, really nice houses.
Yep.
But this is a little bit different than I think in like. A PUD, like a planned urban development, where I think, where you live down in the Bartram Park area. That was always going to be built out with a mixture of single families to apartments to retail. So you knew the urban sprawl, the density was going to eventually build itself out, just like it happened in Oakleaf over where you live. This ordinance that they're talking about here is really affecting long-standing established neighborhoods that typically were zoned for low density. RLD, residential low density, is like kind of the term. So if you wanted to build something that is like a duplex or a tri or a quad, generally you would need RMD, residential medium density zoning, to be applied. We as a company, we're actually building a very, something that we are building duplexes just north of downtown Jacksonville. This was unique because it was already zoned correctly to build these types of things. What this ordinance is doing is all of the areas that have low density that typically only would allow for single family is to have the ability to build, these medium density type homes. And it's not that you would just smack a quad in the middle of a neighborhood that had 0.1 acres. Obviously it had to meet the standard size, the size that's required per zoning to build that, for the coverage, 50% of the lot can't be more than, the coverage and everything else that's required. I'm definitely pro development, we have to find places, for people to live. We got to be able to build, but I can understand, the homeowners who live in these communities why they're pushing back, because if I spent all this money or if I lived in a neighborhood that's been this way forever, and now all of a sudden the government is trying to come in and say, no, we're going to now do this. We're going to build, all of these types of quads or whatever it is in the middle of your neighborhood. I would actually take some exception. I wouldn't want that. I would be pushing back because I know that, hey, it would bring, most likely would bring down property value. It would bring in more people. People who live in apartments are different from people who live, in single family houses, just talking just from income, basis. So I can understand the pushback and, fortunately, if you're living in it, it's directly affecting these guys. Right now it's not completely, a done deal. I think they're just delaying it because I think they're going to repropose, what this kind of looks like.
Yeah, there's going to be other concerns, but
yeah, the only thing I would say when it comes to some of those things are, yes, I get it. Crime will increase, in some of these areas and things like that just because of
just with more people in general.
Yes, for sure, but also people that probably aren't making that much money. The average, person in Jacksonville makes $50,000 to $60,000 a year, you know what I mean. And so obviously that comes with the territory, right? But then homes, the average home is $300,000. You know what I mean? And so it's hard to say, okay, someone that makes that money, okay, go and buy a house that is in a decent neighborhood that you can build your family on. Everyone has to start somewhere. And the reason why I do like this is because you go to Riverside, you go to Avondale, you go to 5 Points. These are, probably some of the older neighborhoods in Jacksonville. But if you see, a lot of those homes they're renovating all those homes they are becoming duplexes and quad. And it's beautiful. It's all within the landscape. It's brick homes that they're remodeling. But you can still it's urban. It's alive down there. You know what I mean? You go down to what's that park down there? Not Museum Park, but
Boone Park.
What?
Boone Park.
Not Boone Park. Man, I don't know why I was just over there.
In
But anyway,
Riverside?
the park over there in Riverside Park, it's beautiful. It's vibrant. But a lot of those people aren't next to that old money that's like $2-3 million home. They're probably in the quad right next to it. But it gives people that aren't making $1 million a year an ability to live somewhere that's urban, and it's nice, that is sprawling with life, has good restaurants. And the knock-on effect is, I get it. Will it bring in, with population density, will it bring in crime? Will it bring in people who are irresponsible? Will it be, for sure. But that is the curse of growth. And that's the curse of living in a city that is becoming the new bold city of the South. That's all I'm saying.
Well, there's just even more that goes with that. Just, I remember our road, one of our roads by where I live, they built it with not that future in mind.
Yeah.
So as they keep adding, there's no place for anybody to go. We have
For
to
sure.
widen the streets. Well, now we got construction going on 24/7. It's like every road in Jacksonville
100%.
seems like right now it's got construction going on, which is obviously that's a pain for a lot of people. That's just a lot of stuff. I'm just saying in general that I wish these things could be more thought out.
For sure.
And then they keep changing it and moving it, and now all of a sudden let's do this and things. It is everything's just getting crammed. And I don't know. That's not my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Is dealing with just people and traffic and stuff just constantly everywhere I go. There's no piece of it. You know, it's just like, wow, when's it ever going to get done? Like they're always working on downtown, like this street down here. It's like
I'm telling
one
you.
block street, and they've been here for like 3 years. It's like, what's going on down here? It's like, get it done, right?
I mean, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just that's always confused me, especially on some of those like the Bartrams and Nakatis. Like, you know what the plan is.
Oh, for sure.
Build the infrastructure to support
6-lane
the
roads.
plan. And like that would just make sense instead of starting a project with a 2-lane, and then you got to go to 4, and then you got to go to 6, and then you got to go to 8. Well, let's build with the plan in mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's the end?
Yeah.
What's the end goal? What's it look like? And that was what a lot of the pushback was from some of the residents, is that, you know, the roads, the sewers, the infrastructure that currently exist in many of these areas can't sustain much more growth at the rate it is. So maybe if the proposal was, hey, we're going to come in and we're going to upgrade the infrastructure to then future support, maybe that's a different conversation, and it goes differently. You know, because I remember back when Hurricane Irma, you know, came through, there were areas and pots, you know, in parts of Mandarin that just completely flooded, and it wasn't because the storm was so intense. It was because the city infrastructure could not support the rainwater runoff.
Yeah.
Right. Just like, you know, we're going to leave here tonight. We're going to go to church at the same place.
Yeah.
That one off-ramp going on to Highway 17
Yeah.
headed to church has been under construction for like 8 months.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
it's an off-ramp.
Yeah.
Come on, fellas.
Yeah.
You know, let's get it together. Let's work at night. Let's
Come
get
on,
it done.
civil engineers, let's do it. The worst is when they shut down a major street in the middle of the day. I'm like, man, come on, man. Y'all gotta wait till evening? For sure.
All right, let's get to our last story here. This is timely. So a lot of discussion, like in the world economy, you know, with our local U.S. economy with manufacturing. This is a unique kind of twist. There's a German company called Holon, Holon. They just recent news. They are building a $100 million plant in Jacksonville. And this company, they build autonomous vehicles. So great news for the city of Jacksonville. $100 million is going to be invested into the local economy to build this plant. And this German company called Holon, they build these autonomous vehicles that are going to be, shipped to places all across the world. But also, our local utility company or Jacksonville transportation company, JTA, Jacksonville Transit Authority, right after they announced this plant, they also announced that JTA is going to be buying 100 of these self-driving transit
I'm not thinking
shuttles.
that was a coincidence.
Yeah. Why don't we play a video, just a little snippet of this video, what these things look like, and then we'll continue with our thoughts.
Tomorrow.
They're really cool looking.
Tomorrow, this will all just be normal. A standard mover. You'll be used to it. They'll be everywhere. In the city, in the suburbs, everywhere. Tomorrow, they'll be a matter of course. The shapes? Typical. The electric drive? Nothing special anymore. Autonomous driving? So what? All cars are autonomous now, right? Tomorrow, they won't excite you anymore. Tomorrow, everyone will be using them. Tomorrow, you'll shake your head when you think about how inclusive mobility was once a new, innovative thing. Maybe you'll even laugh about the technology, the design, the materials, the entire interior concept.
These things look phenomenal.
Autonomous limo. Okay, that looks
All right,
cool.
do you know how much these things go for?
It looks cool.
They go for a little over $400,000.
Yeah.
So Jacksonville's going to buy 100. That's a pretty hefty bill right there. But yeah, this obviously good news for the city to
bring in manufacturing to the U.S. It's great that Jacksonville can bring that on.
For sure.
That the city planners were able to get together and woo somebody to Jacksonville. which is good news for us long term. You know, it's not just going to add 200 jobs, 400 over time, it says. Yeah, I believe autonomous vehicles are coming. I don't know if I believe in that commercial. Like, they made it sound like you don't need a human left in the world. We're just going to have a bunch of cars roaming around. You know, it's not the Jetsons yet, but, you know, but these things could be cool. I don't know. I just,
They said it fits 15 people.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
$400,000 though for the thing to break down, and then they got to fix the thing. I mean, that's expensive.
I mean, 15 Germans, 5 Floridians. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, the ball's rolling, so you can't really stop it. But, you know, $400,000 for that. I guess the question that I would ask is, where are they going to take it to? Right, you know, further down in the article, we'll talk about it, is, you know, the Skyway conversion. You know, there's a $247 million. But again, what are we converting it to? Where are we going? Where is the robot going to take us? Yeah,
Man, Well, I think within that, though, I think it's two things. One is, I love the fact that it's a German company. Man, they built the best BMW, Benz. I mean, they built incredible.
They're good engineers.
Yeah, very good engineers. Two, they chose Jacksonville for a reason. You know what I mean? They see where the future is, and they see where, and we have a huge stake in it. Three, with everything that JTA is already doing in downtown, and they're changing up so much stuff in their infrastructure. Man, I think the surrounding downtown area is gonna blow up. It's gonna blow up because the biggest thing that hinders people is transportation. Once you have transportation figured out, I mean, you have I think it would be a metropolis down here, you know, versus it being so scarce, and you're driving 50 minutes, and I think there'll be more bars, more clubs, just because of the sheer fact I can just jump into this train and go home versus, you know, getting an Uber.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. Like, man, if it holds 15 passengers, would you just jump on the autonomous vehicle with 15 passengers? And I was thinking, you know, I've ridden subway a lot in D.C. and in New York, and, you know, there's really no one there other than the pedestrians who are riding these things. So I guess it would be more or less, you know, pretty much the same as riding, you know, a subway train. But I guess the best news of this is, in addition to the big investment, you know, $100 million, you know, 400 jobs is going to be created. That's really doesn't seem like a lot of jobs, but I guess, you know, 400 jobs of getting it, you know, is better than like someone not coming to our city to bring manufacturing. But, you know, I guess the other thing is, it's the right move now, because Jacksonville, even though it's like a quote unquote big city, it has, you know, one of the only 30 cities that has an NFL team, but our population is only like 1 million.
right.
Where you go to like Orlando, I think Orlando is like 6 million people, or maybe 4 million people in that metropolitan area. So, as the city is poised to really grow and expand, them solving for public transportation now is a good move. Yeah. So in the next decade, I forget what the numbers are, you know, as far as like when Jacksonville is going to double. I think they're planning for it to double like in the next 5 years. These things will be in effect, and hopefully, you know, it's you know, solving a problem before it becomes an issue.
Yeah, becomes one. Well, we went to Patrick McDavid's DeVault conference earlier this year. And in that local community, like, these existed already. And I'm sure we're going to be at SLS Sales Leadership Summit next week in Mar-a-Lago. We're going to see these already in that community, right? So it's new here. So it's like, do we really need it? Like, there's already places where it exists. You know, so I think it's just, again, you know, solving for a problem before we have it. I mean, because my wife, she was in Chicago 3 weeks ago for a couple of days, and she's like, it is so crazy here. Traffic is insane. And I said, well, yeah, and I pulled it up. You know, there's 2.7 million people in the city of Chicago on a landmass size the third of Jacksonville. You know, so
it costs $400,000 a day. 10 years from now, that, you know, they'll be $150,000. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, they're just expensive to build right now because they're so new and they're still working out all the little details and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know why the car has to cost $400,000. But, you know, but I'm glad it's getting made in America. You know, prices will come down on it. You know, there'll be businesses buying those to run other businesses. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that'll come from it.
A bus pass is going to be $1,000
Yeah,
a month.
I know. Literally.
Yeah.
Well, think about this. Like, if Jacksonville said, "Hey, let's build a subway system," think of all the rail line that they would have to lay and everything versus an autonomous vehicle. You don't have to do. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they'll make designated. You know, they have
Stops
bus
and
lanes
stuff,
now,
yeah.
but maybe they'll make more designated lanes.
Oh, great. More construction on the
for
streets there.
you know for the buses and for the autonomous. So it's so much easier to implement this than it would be if Jacksonville said, "No, man, let's build a subway just like New York or Chicago."
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I would love it. I mean, if you could make it make sense to where I could, like a subway system, I could walk a block or two, hop on some transit, come to work, knock out some calls, knock out some emails, all of the things that you should not do while you're driving, I'd love it. I'd be all about it.
100%.
Yeah.
Who watches the autonomous vehicles though? Like, you get a bunch of riffraff in a autonomous vehicle, they start going crazy.
Oh, I hope there's an
They're
anti-lock.
gonna, they'll have cameras and everything, and hopefully it'll be similar to the subway systems where you'll have, uniformed, people at the stops. So then once you get to the next stop, if there was an issue, then somebody hopefully would be there to take care of it.
For sure.
If not, it's a Second Amendment state, so you just got to do what you got to do to protect yourself. Well, you brought up SLS. I'm glad you brought that up because we are going to a event next week called Sales Leadership Summit, put on by the man Patrick Bet-David down in the West Palm Beach area. But actually, better than that, it's going to be held. It is being held at Mar-a-Lago, the home of the sitting President Donald Trump. This is our second year going. We're excited. We brought 5 people last year, and this year we're bringing 10, so we're doubling. We're all about growth, and the people who earned it, from the company, they're excited, and we just can't wait to go there for the second time and what we'll gain from it. Wes, man, what do you think about SLS going back, for the second time?
I mean, I'm excited. It's back in Mar-a-Lago for a second time. It's just, I like doing anything where, just think experience-wise only, something you just don't get to go do every day, right?
Yeah.
Go play TPC at for $800. Something probably you're not going to go do every day. It's an experience. Getting to go to Mar-a-Lago, whether the president is at his house or he's there or not, that's just it's a landmark property. It's beautiful. And then when you get 300 of the top sales leaders and owners from around the country, billion-dollar companies in there, learning billion-dollar strategies on sales and stuff like that. You add that part of the experience to it. And then you're networking with some of the top people around the country at that spot. It just all comes together to be a killer experience. And so we know a little more of the ropes. We're taking a bunch of people with us that haven't gotten to experience that, but we kind of know a little more of the ropes. So we know how to take a little more advantage of the situation. And then, the coup de grace experience would be obviously if the president actually comes home for the weekend and pops in like he's known to do sometimes. I think that would be awesomely cool just to, see the president, shake his hand, whatever. I mean, how often do you get that experience, right? So no matter who the president is. So, yeah, I'm excited to go back. I'm excited for some new people on our team to go with us this year, experience, because when we came back last year, we were pretty fired up, and it took our company just to another level. And so, obviously that's what we're looking forward to do again.
Yeah.
What are you guys hoping and like that will happen within the team as you guys go and listen and rub shoulders and kind of network?
Yeah, obviously just the connections that you'll make. And, I came back a different person last year from it. Like my word of 2025 came from that. It was sell and drive, so as the CEO of the company, I'm like, man, I've never really put that much emphasis on sales. Obviously, we have to sell services and products, pay the bills. But man, that's just my whole focus on the foundational drive that I needed to, exude. And then, for me to do that, leading from the front to get our whole organization, whether they're in sales or not, just to have that mindset. So we're definitely excited and hoping people make some major decisions. That's usually what happens when you get to a conference. Emotions are high. You make a major decision to like just go after it, because you're going to see people, like with PBD, what he normally does, he's going to call out some of the big dogs. There was like some solar guys there last year doing $100 million in sales. Like,
in a short period of time.
Very quick.
Like real quick.
So you start seeing that, you could probably pull up a YouTube video and find that. But when you're there in your proximity and then you're able to have conversations with them, and then for me, just being the competitive person I am, like, man, ain't nothing special about that guy. We should do that times 10.
Special. They just went and sold,
But yeah, I'm excited, and I know Will's going. He wasn't with us last year. He wasn't with the company. I forget. But anyways, Will's going this year. Well, what are you looking forward to?
No, there's something to be said about being in proximity to the best of the best, right? If you're striving to be the best and you get around the best, it's going to elevate you. Just being in that ecosystem is going to take you to another level. And this isn't like a 8,000, 9,000 person conference, right? This is very exclusive is the word I'm looking for. You're talking, ticket ranges from, 7,000 to 50,000. The best of the best show up to something like this to become better. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, we had to qualify. I mean, you don't just go to this conference. You have to qualify as a company to get there. You have to, prove sales and, all these kind of other things. So, like you said, you're just around top people, and it's just another level of a room that, sometimes you gotta extend yourself out there, try to get uncomfortable to get comfortable, and then once you get comfortable again, you better go get uncomfortable again, right? So this puts you in some uncomfortable things, because you're walking around people and hey, you're doing several million, all right, I'm doing several billion, so it's like, whoa, okay, let's have a conversation, right? And so I want to know what they know, and that's a cool spot to be able to go do that.
Yeah.
And then be on Mar-a-Lago, smoking a cigar, having some Trump wine, that's also cool too. So, with the networking event that we get to do on Mar-a-Lago like we did last year, I mean, PBD rolls top-notch 5-star. So, give it up to PBD. But he's got guys hand-rolling cigars there. He lives it up.
Yeah, that sushi bar was
man. Yeah, he lives it up his style. So it's a killer experience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome being at Mar-a-Lago, because everything is branded Trump. The toilet, like the napkins, the silverware. It's all Mar-a-Lago. You got Trump everywhere.
Gold-plated silverware.
But the funny
thing,
I messed up my punchline. The funny thing though, in the bathroom, even though your napkins say Trump, the toilet paper is Scott toilet paper. So I took a picture of it and I sent it to my kids, like with the Trump, paper napkin, and then
he
the
took a
Scott
marker,
toilet
wrote
paper.
free on it. Scott free toilet paper.
Get the branding.
Yeah, we're excited for that. But man, it's going to be a good event. Good DeVore Live.
Yeah, we'll do DeVore Live. We're going to see about doing DeVore Live from, won't be at
cool.
Mar-a-Lago, but it will be in West Palm next week. So, to tune into the show next week. We'll have some good things going on. All things Jacksonville, all things Florida.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep everybody informed about what's going on around here, as we love this area.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So until next time, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. DeVore Live is brought to you by DeVore Media, sponsored by DeVore Capital Group. I'm going to get this right this time. Some of our services include residential commercial roofing, and our real estate brokerage, which is called DCRE. We cater to the real estate licensed investor, and we do all types of residential and commercial buy and sell transactions. So till next time, peace and love, and we'll go get it.
Yo.
Go get it. That's